Great to meet you and talk about a project that we're pretty excited about. My name is Patrick Rennie. I'm an attorney at Lurch Shirley and Brewer, and I'm here with Greg Ruff, who's a land entitlements manager for Tri Point Homes, and Sasheen Kalbag, who's planning and urban design leader for Vika Engineering, for those of you who are familiar with that firm. Tri Point is the contract purchaser of a property located at 7501 Standish Place. It's in the Crabs Branch Office Park, across from Monona Drive and on Crabs Branch Way, and then Standish Drive is the street that has its address. And this is a property that's currently zoned IM, and Tri Point is interested in rezoning the property through a floating zone process, um, in that's allowed in the county to rezone the property to CRNF, which is the floating zone. CRN is kind of the base zone, and then F is the floating zone, with a 1.25 FAR, and all that would be residential. There'd be no commercial associated with this proposed rezoning. And then the height we'd be seeking is 50 feet. So we've talked to a number of people on the technical side, and have been anxious to talk to community members to give an idea of what our plan is, get feedback from you, and then ultimately let you know what the process is. We have not filed anything yet. So this is an early stage conversation, and happy to have it as just that, a conversation. So unless there's any question,
can you kind of orient us in terms of
yeah, let me,
exactly on Crabs Branch?
yeah, because we have Greg Ruff, who I introduced, is going to call up a presentation with some visuals to give that orientation to you, so you can have a better idea of what we're talking about. So
Yeah.
let me turn it over to Greg.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Greg Ruff, Tri Point Homes. I just wanted to make sure it was okay if I took control, so I'll go ahead and do that. Hopefully you can all see my screen. Hopefully this is the just our entry slide, opening slide. So I don't know, Patrick, do you want to talk? This is an aerial showing the location of the property in the context of Goody Drive, Crabs Branch Way.
And there's an office building located in that location. It's a large building. It's 177,000 square feet, and the proposed plan would rezone the property and then tear that down to put in a townhouse community that Greg will elaborate on.
So I'll move to the next slide. I'll just put up our site plan as I start to talk, but I just first wanted to introduce not just myself, but my company. I work for Tri Point Homes, and we've been around in the DC metro area for almost 50 years. It's been about 45 years that we've been in existence. In that time, we've built numerous projects in Montgomery County, literally thousands of homes that we've built in Montgomery County. For the first 40 years or so of our existence, we were known as Winchester Homes. So you may know us by that name, but about 4 years ago, we changed our name to Tri Point Homes, but we are the same company as we've always been. So we're very excited about this opportunity to develop a new residential community here in this location on Crabs Branch Way. We think this is an excellent redevelopment opportunity for this site. This will be a walkable community in an area that's already served by public transportation. It's in close proximity to retail and other residential supporting services. It's a little less than a mile from the Shady Grove Metro Station, so it's just a quick bus ride or bike ride from our site to the metro station. This would be providing much needed housing to help the county address its current housing shortage. We're proposing about 190 townhomes, mixture of townhomes and stacked townhomes. I'll come to that in a second. This proposal would address the sector plan recommendations and represents a very high quality redevelopment project that would help revitalize this stretch of Crabs Branch Way and give this little area a nice lift. We're proposing 15% of the units, the total units would to be MPDUs, and that equates to 29 residential units. There's existing stormwater management and BMP facilities on the site that are very outdated. And as part of our redevelopment, we would be bringing those facilities, all the stormwater management and BMP, into conformance with the current requirements. So that would be a real positive from the environmental standpoint. We would also be making improvements to Crabs Branch Way consistent with the sector plan streetscape guidelines. The homes themselves will be high quality in design and materials. We've retained an architecture firm called KTGY. They're an award-winning firm to do the designs for us. We are still in the very early stages of that design process, but we look forward to coming back to you and showing you elevations at a later date when we have something developed. As far as the layout, you can see the plan here. We think this plan does a really good job of creating a nice livable community that will bring the residents of the community together through the placement, through the orientation of the buildings, and then also the placement of open spaces within the community. In addition to how it functions internally for the residents of the property, it also presents very attractively to the outside, to Crabs Branch Way. And again, I think it really will improve the look of this property and this portion of the corridor as you travel past the site. The plan, as I mentioned, has 190 townhomes. These are all alley loaded, and we have 4 different unit types shown. We have a 20-foot townhouse, which is shown in yellow. That's about 2,100 square feet. We have a 24-foot townhouse that's shown in sort of the peach color. That's 2,600 square feet. And then we have 2-over-2 buildings or stacked townhomes that are shown in the tan color. And each of these buildings consists of an upper level unit, which is 2 stories, and then a lower level unit, which is 2 stories. And the upper level unit is about 2,500 square feet in size, and the lower level unit is about 1,600 square feet in size. So we're offering 4 different unit types. And in doing so, we're providing a very diverse range of housing options with different square footages that cater to buyers at different price points. And this allows us to reach out to several different home buyer segments and bring in a more diverse buyer group. And it also allows us practically to help sell through the project and develop the community more quickly if we're catering to several different home buyer groups at different price points. So it works on a number of levels. The plan, as I mentioned, it is a very attractive presentation to the Crabs Branch Way frontage. We have 2 kind of focal points from Crabs Branch Way. I should say 3, really. One is the northern corner, if you can see where the cursor is pointing. We have Standish Place is basically a loop road that starts here and then it travels all the way down here and then connects down to Crabs Branch Way again down at this southern point. So we have 2 entrances of Standish Place at Crabs Branch Way. The northern point here, where we have townhomes fronting out towards Standish Place, but from the corner, we have a nice little open space area here where we can do some nice landscaping and possibly some benches to create a nice focal point there. And the same again down at the southern point of the project. We have townhomes fronting onto Standish Place, but again, next to them, up along Crabs Branch Way, you have a nice open space area with landscaping where we might be able to put some benches, but it creates a nice little focal point that accentuates those 2 corners of our project, the high profile locations along Crabs Branch Way. And then at about the midpoint of the property, we have another large open space area here, really at about the central location on the property frontage. And there we're going to have a nice open space consisting of an open lawn area. Right now we're thinking about a pavilion, a multi-purpose court, possibly a small playground, and then a special paving area with benches and chairs for people to enjoy. But this area we expect would be placed under a public use easement, so it would be available for anyone to come in and enjoy. There is a bit of a grade difference between Crabs Branch Way and this space here, this open space that we're talking about. So it would probably about a 10 to 12 foot drop from the Crabs Branch Way sidewalk. So there would need to be a series of stairs that would bring people down from Crabs Branch Way, and then a walkway connecting them to this open space. But it should function very well and be very attractive, and also again be usable by all the people who want to come in off Crabs Branch Way. As I mentioned, the programming of this open space is it's tentative, it's still preliminary, but once we finalize the designs, we'd be happy to come back to you along with the architecture and show you more refined concepts. The plan shows 3 different entry points into the community. If you can see the cursor, there's one here. We'll call this the northern entrance. There's another entrance here. We'll call this the central entrance. And then there's another one down here. We'll call that the southern entrance. All 3 entrance points are off of Standish Place. We're not proposing any direct access points into the project from Crabs Branch Way. At each of these entrances here, especially the central entrance here and the southern entrance, we've turned the buildings sideways so that as you come in, you've got a very nice streetscape with buildings on both sides, close to the street, nice street trees in front, and a view, sort of a viewpoint or a view shed as you come in, looking through along this nice streetscape to the open spaces internal to the project. And you've got the same thing down at this southern entrance where the buildings turn sideways, creating that nice streetscape with a view to the back where the open spaces are. And that sideways orientation of the buildings also serves a purpose of blocking the view of these alleys, which exist on either side. So it kind of serves a dual purpose. Just more generally, we've tried through the design here, the site plan design, whenever we have open spaces within the project, we've tried to front the buildings on those open spaces. You see that here, you see that here, you see that here, here. That just creates a very nice intimate feel for those spaces when you have townhomes and stacked townhomes fronting onto the open spaces. We have a nice road running east-west through the middle of the project here to provide convenient access, but it also creates an opportunity for really nice streetscaping with lots of street trees, as you can see here, a lot of visitor parking spaces along this central road. Yeah, so that east-west road also serves several purposes. The plan also shows sidewalks on both sides of all the internal streets, especially this one. So that just provides for really enhanced walkability throughout the community. Another cool feature that we've come up with here for this site is what we're calling a promenade. And it's this walkway that you can see that kind of runs in a serpentine fashion through this portion of the project. It's a paved walking path, basically, with homes fronting on it. And again, the homes fronting on that walking path creates a very nice, intimate feel. Functionally, it's actually a fire access lane, but it serves a dual purpose as a pedestrian access path, which will provide residents of the project access back to this central open space in the back. But the walkway itself will also be a usable amenity public space that people can use and enjoy together. For instance, block parties, 4th of July parades, people can use this promenade sort of as a public space. And I imagine we would place some benches along the promenade as it winds through. So a lot of cool stuff going on with this plan, we think, and we hope you agree. Our schedule at this point, it's very preliminary, but we hope to file the rezoning application in the next few weeks to get the process started. We hope to have all regulatory approvals in hand in late spring 2026. And we hope to be starting work on the site development work in summer of 2026 with the goal of having construction on the townhomes, at least a model building started in the first quarter of 2027 and then being open for sales in the summer of 2027. So we're a few years off. We're very early in the process at this point, but as Patrick said, we wanted to come to you early on and just present to you what we have in mind and respond to any questions or comments that you might have. So that's a quick overview of our proposal. And Patrick, with that, I'll just turn it back over to you if in case there's anything else that you wanted to add.
Great. The only thing I would add, just for those of you who are not familiar with the rezoning process, it is it's the first step in that loan process that culminates in construction beginning in 2027. And the rezoning is there's lots of opportunities for community to participate, and it starts with the application. We would then get technical feedback from park and planning and planning staff, and then those recommendations would go to a hearing examiner, which is a quasi judicial function that Montgomery County has for finders of fact to gather a bunch of information on how we comply with the rezoning obligations and requirements. And then that would be culminate in a report and recommendation, and then ultimately the Montgomery County Council would determine whether the property may be rezoned as we proposed, or whether conditions are added to it, or other items that would direct how the development would go. So that's it from an information standpoint, but happy to answer questions on the project, the process, or anything else. So I see a hand up.
Yeah, if you
Thank-
have any questions, can either put it in chat or just raise your hand and we'll call upon you. Shabana.
Great, thank you. Very briefly, it looks like a beautiful plan. Definitely an addition to this area. Have you done any studies on traffic patterns and speed as a result of this development?
Greg, you want to?
Yeah, sure.
that?
Yep. Yeah, I'll take that. We are doing a traffic study right now. Because this is already developed for office uses, which actually generates more traffic than the residential use we're proposing. I think it's a pretty short traffic analysis that we will be doing that just demonstrates the reduction in trips with the proposed use compared to what's already out there today. As far as speeds, I don't know if the traffic study normally takes that into consideration. We can look into that, but I don't know that speed is normally part of a traffic analysis. I think they usually just look at vehicle counts.
Yeah.
Is speed an issue in that area?
Yes, Crabs Branch is a thoroughfare for business traffic, trucks and things coming off of the ICC. There's plenty of trucks, commercial vehicles running down Crabs Branch right past this at high speeds, and also not just commercial but residential vehicles going at speed. So it is an issue.
That's helpful, and I know from a planning perspective that an increased streetscape and more pedestrian activity on the street does have a tendency to slow things down, but we would look a little more deeply into the speed issues associated with Crabs Branch as part of this work.
Yeah, I live in west side of Shady Grove, which is right off of Crabs Branch as you turn off of Shady Grove Road, and people come flying down that curvy road right down to this area where you're planning this development. So it's pretty bad. So I would definitely urge you to take a look at that.
Right, and we're going to have a desire to create safe spaces too, so we're aligned.
Yeah, thanks. Maybe you can help with the speed. I don't know. Thank you.
I'll give you some more minutes. Hold on. No, nope.
And Kosi, do you want to call on the people that have raised hands?
Yeah, I see Alfred.
Yeah. Or I mean, Nikosi, if you want me to take it back over, I don't mind. Carol is thinking.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's okay.
Okay.
Don't worry.
All right, that's fine.
Thank you. And thank you for the presentation. This is very exciting. I've lived in the sector for 30 years and have utilized various retail and have been up and down Crabs Branch for almost every day for 30 years. And I appreciate the creativity. I had three basic questions or points. One is on that study of the traffic analysis, does that show or will that show a net increase or decrease in the vehicular entry or population? I realize there's a certain number of people or houses or units, but it may be that the vehicular increase, if there is a net increase from what's there already as a business park, that may warrant traffic lights or at least lit pedestrian crossings. And I ask this question because I'm aware of the second point I was going to make is there are three, I believe, memorials for pedestrian deaths on this corridor between Redland and Goody. just a stark memorial to what happens when the speeding cars that Shivana was mentioning meet with increased pedestrian traffic. The other question is a little more light-hearted. What green requirements or green aspirations does the project have? Will there be permeable pavers? How will the water runoff be augmented or controlled? And are there any solar panels that are planned for the roofs of these units? What kind of green rating are you aiming for? And sorry to take up so much time.
No, thank you for your comments and your questions. So as for solar panels, that's not something we've ever done, and I don't think we have an interest in doing that, only because it gets complicated with the warranty. It voids the warranty on a person's roof, and that's typically something we try to steer clear of. So I don't think we would go to that extent. I guess I'm not, in terms of green building, we would have to look at, I guess, work with staff and see what the expectations are. We've done green building certifications in other jurisdictions, and we'd be willing to do that here as well. But I guess that's something that I guess we would get into with staff and perhaps your group as the plans process through.
In terms of traffic, the traffic study and net traffic increase?
Yeah, again, based on, I've yet to see a study come back from our consultant. It'll go in with our rezoning application. I expect to see that in the next week or two. But based on the conversations we've had with our traffic consultant, again, it's a reduction in the number of trips coming from this site with our proposed development. So I don't think he's expecting impacts that would be at a scale that would warrant a traffic signal or even a pedestrian signal. But I guess, again, we'll have to see what his study says. And once it gets submitted as part of the application, that process will begin in terms of the review with staff and the discussion.
Thank you.
I think there was another
Car-
question about water quality. I know, unfortunately, the engineer's not on this call, but I know this project has a lot of ESDs or bio retention boxes that are planned for it for water quality. So I know as part of this development, the stormwater management BMP facilities will be sort of state of the art and in conformance with all the latest requirements, county, state, et cetera. So you mentioned permeable pavers. That could be something that we'll be doing as well as part of the facilities. I can't be more specific than that because I just don't know the details of the site plan at this point. In fact, we haven't really gotten into designing a site plan. We're very conceptual at this point.
But remember, this is a large site that's currently primarily impervious surface with surface parking lot. So the fact that there's any green on this plan at all is in some ways an improvement to what's already on the site. So
Great. We'll go ahead and take one more question. Carol has her hand up, and then we'll go ahead and move on to David Dice, who has joined us, so we can stay on schedule tonight.
Yeah, first I have to push back about your statement about solar panels voiding your roof warranties. I've had solar panels for over 15 years. In fact, I'm on my second installation of solar panels on my roof, and in no way will they void your roof warranties. In fact, your solar installer should be guaranteeing your roof for at least a decade. So I do encourage you actually to look at solar panels if you want to be green. But I basically had my hand up because I was just going to point out to Kosi that there was a lot of analysis and a lot of discussion on Crab's Branch when we were doing the latest iteration of the sector plan, particularly the area of Crab's Branch between Redland and Indianola. And you guys might want to go back and see if there are notes or things like that on it. It was, pretty extensive discussions with the community and things like that. There were lots of recommendations.
That sounds good, Carol. Nikosi, did you want to respond to Carol?
No,
or-
no, Carol's right. I mean, the plan, the 21 plan has noted that Craft Ranch has a high injury network. So therefore, it recommends a variety of approaches regarding Vision Zero techniques and things like that. So once this plan moves forward, next level, whenever it's submitted for rezoning, my colleagues will begin looking and making recommendations regarding how this development could make improvements along its frontage as well as maybe off-site that could advance many of the recommendations of the sector plan as it pertains to transportation improvements along Crafts Ranch Way. This portion of Crafts Ranch Way.
Okay, just real quick, what is opposite the development on Standish? What are those buildings there?
To
I
the,
think on across Crab's Branch.
No, Standish, on
Oh,
Standish.
Standish.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah,
those auto dealers?
No, these buildings down here are just part of the office park, just office buildings within the same office park. Metro Park is the
Okay.
name of the office park, but just various office buildings.
okay. All right, I'll have to drive by there and take a look. Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
Excellent
you.
presentation. We appreciate the information and we look forward to hearing more from you in the near future.
yep,
I
thank
would
you.
like, yeah, great. Thank you, Patrick. Anybody have any last minute questions, or can we go ahead and welcome Mr. David Dice, our Director of General Services, to the meeting this evening?
Welcome, David.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate it. My apologies. I had a good friend who's owner of a tech firm who says never trust technology. Spent 50 minutes rebooting servers and connectors, but I'm here. So for some time, we've been talking about a project that we had hoped to get off the ground. And I said at our last meeting that at this meeting, we would give evidence to the fact that we are in fact moving forward. And it's a delight for us at the county and General Services in particular to kick that process off in the public sense with this organization first. The intent tonight is to introduce you to the firms that will be facilitating our public engagement and public input process. And I'll let them introduce themselves. But first of all, I want to recognize Ronnie Warner and Amy Donan, who are with the Department of General Services Office of Planning and Development. And they are on point with this part of the project. You might want to call it the bleeding edge. They are leading this effort to get the ride-on and Montgomery County Public Schools depot underway, and what I'm calling right now the Jeremiah Park Depot. That will also include a fulfillment of the envisioned Shady Grove sector plan, which is important for all of those of you who live on the west side. I think you're going to be pleased with what you're going to see and understand our commitment to not only implementing that plan, but also removing the buses from the current viewscape that you don't enjoy. This is going to be an exciting project. I have instructed my staff, and they're very keenly aware, as are our consultants, that this is a fast track. We want to move rapidly as we can to implement this in order to meet not only our regulatory deadlines of zero emissions fleet, but also over the years that we've talked, very, very conscious and sensitive to the fact that you all moved into this area and in the entire region had an expectation that something was going to be done that hasn't been done, but it is now being done. So I'm going to first introduce Ronnie, who will introduce our design team. We have a dual team of the Design Collective and PRR who will lead you through a PowerPoint presentation. Purpose of this evening, as I mentioned at our last meeting, is to introduce you to these folks, understand their qualifications and expertise, and they will then outline the schedule and plan for reaching out with more in-depth discussion. Tonight's really not going to be a Q&A, but more of a meet and greet. And I think you'll enjoy what you hear. So Ronnie, why don't you take it off and introduce the team?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. As David said, my name is Ronnie Warner. I'm the division chief for the Office of Planning and Development. Actually, two of my staff are here. Kara Olson-Salazar, who is on the IAC, is part of my team as well, and has had some hand in this effort, as has Amy. We're very excited for our team. It's a partnership of Design Collective, PRR, and VHB. They're our transportation expert on the team. And I know you want to get to the meat of it. So I'm going to actually turn it over to Cecily Bedwell, and she will take over and show a PowerPoint and introduce the team and tell you what our plans are.
Very good. Thank you, Ronnie, for the introduction, and good to be with you all at the Shady Grove Implementation Advisory Committee. We were told to make this presentation brief, and as David mentioned, it is introductory. So I'll start with Matt D'Amico will take us through project understanding and start to introduce the team, and then you'll hear from TL, Tammy Lee from PRR, and myself. So with that, I'll go to the next slide, and Matt.
Sure, thanks, Cecily, and we're happy to be here, and we look forward to continuing meeting with all of you and others over the next several months as we start, getting more input that would inform the plan, the concept plan or concept plan options, and then move through refinement of that. So we're just in the beginning stages here. David said very well what's important to this project, and we understand that very, very well. We have a very robust community engagement process that we're going to talk about in a minute. We understand that's very important for the plan to be informed by yourselves and others, that live and work in the community. We also understand it's important that this concept plan be informed by the Shady Grove sector plan, the objectives of that, of creating this very inclusive and walkable, mixed use development with a variety of housing types. And we understand, the importance of, community park and a placeholder location for a potential elementary school. We get all that. Part of this is, as David said and Ronnie said, is to replace the bus depot with a new modern facility. And I think it's important to understand that's going to transition to zero emission vehicles. There will be a microgrid along with the mixed use development. And the goal here is for this entire development to have a very strong sustainable objective to it in terms of bioretention, stormwater management, green infrastructure, promoting health and wellness and activity and recreation. Those are some of the important objectives that we have heard and that we know needs to inform the plan. Next slide, Cecily. So I'm Matt D'Amico. I'm with Design Collective. I've been with the firm almost 35 years. Cecily and I lead our planning and urban design team. Probably completed, what do you think, Cecily, 100 of these kinds of projects all over the country and in this area. As a matter of fact, we worked, I think about 20 years ago, Cecily and I facilitated the charrette for the Shady Grove and the Twin Brook Metro Station concept plans, working maybe with some of you or others in that 1 week charrette which was the predecessor, if you will, to the sector plan. So we have 20 years of investment in history in this area and are super excited to be part of it.
Thanks, Matt. And I'll introduce myself. So I'm Cecily Bedwell, principal in the Urban Design Studio. I'll be the PM, so the point of contact for this project, working closely with Amy and Ronnie. And we're really getting close over these last few weeks that we've started the project. As Matt said, he's been here over 30 years. I've been with Design Collective 27. specializing in community engagement, very very intricate mixed use TOD development, writing design guidelines, pattern books, and even approving designs per those pattern books, design guidelines. So really appreciate the work that has preceded us in this project and hope to carry forth the vision that you all have been invested in for some time. With that, I'll turn it over to Tammy Lee.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tammy Lee Dement. You can call me TL, most people do. And I am with the firm PRR. We're a small business, women business owned. And we've been working with DCI and VHB on projects in the area for a long time. I was involved in the Great Seneca Transit Network project that is still ongoing. And my background is in environmental studies. I come from a long time, about 20 years now, of community engagement for urban planning, civic landscapes, and park redevelopment. So I'm very excited to be part of this team and working with you all. I'll be leading the community engagement pieces of it. So you'll be hearing a lot from me on behalf of this team as we move through the community engagement process. I'm really looking forward to getting to know you all and receiving that receiving input from you.
And who you don't see here tonight, but you will be seeing more of, is Kevin Keeley. As Ronnie mentioned, VHB is our transportation arm of our trifecta for this project. And they'll be integral to understanding the traffic circulation, bus program requirements, and the like. So you'll see a lot of all of us plus our support staff working behind us. So a little bit about Design Collective. If you don't know us, we're located in Baltimore. We're an 80+ person firm. We have another office in Chicago as well. As Matt said, we've done many large mixed-use master plan projects. Those typically include some type of park, civic amenities, and community features. We have conducted over 100 different community engagement events. I think just for the Purple Line study alone, we did 9. So that can give you a sense of how many we've done those in the form of a series of workshops, charrettes, pinups, and visioning sessions. So all of the above. So we're really looking forward and very thankful to have PRR leading the charge on that. We do our main focus is on architecture, and we do a lot of projects across all sectors that really informs our planning and urban design work. But we also have a landscape architecture, interiors, and environmental graphics design in-house as well. So we have multiple lenses and multiple expertise within house that help to really make sure that our plans are buildable, service well, take a lot of things into consideration. Very good. Over to you, TL, to give an overview of PRR as a whole.
Yes, thanks, Cecily. As I mentioned, we're a women-owned business, 43 years in process. We have about 120 employees. We are national. Our headquarters are in Seattle. I'm located in Baltimore. We've got offices in Virginia and the DC area and Alabama and Oregon. So we do a lot of this type of work. We focus on transportation and environment and health. So we work a lot with departments of transportations, parks and recreation departments, planning departments. So we're well versed in where the urban planning and transportation meet, because you can't do one without the other, right? So we like to make sure that we are, during our public engagement, that we're really considering both environment and transportation. We provide community engagement services, in person, online, but we also do a lot of other kind of stuff, social marketing, media planning and buying. So making sure that the advertisements are hitting the right places, that the social media is hitting the right places. We do public affairs, so making sure that we're talking to the right people and the right representatives in the areas. We do a lot of meeting facilitation. So these types of visioning workshops that Thessaly was just mentioning, we do a lot of those. I actually just got some training just 2 weeks ago. So maybe you'll be my guinea pigs for the new training I've gotten for public facilitation processes and workshops and visioning sessions. We have a whole research team that does demographics review, so making sure that we're hitting our diversity, equity, and inclusion goals. We want to make sure that public spaces are designed in a way that the community feels welcome. So one of our goals for this project is to make sure that we're putting our diversity, equity, and inclusion hats on. And we also, in that vein, we have language services where we've got on staff people who use 13 different languages to help us with our translation needs and interpretive needs.
Thanks, TL. And VHB, they're a very large firm, and they deal with, in many metro locations, certainly have Montgomery County, and their core services really revolve around transportation planning and engineering, plan development, planning design, environmental, applied technologies. Obviously, their focus on this project is going to be squarely in the transportation realm. And TL, if you want to just run through some of the variety of engagement options and that you'll be running for this project.
Of course. So as everyone's mentioned, this is going to be a relatively fast-moving project. So we've already started planning our engagement events. You all are our first meeting with the outside of the project team. So we're hosting a variety of different types of engagement opportunities. The first one, pop-up engagement event. What a pop-up means for us is that we go out into the public where there's going to be a lot of foot traffic. It might be a farmer's market. Our first one in this case is going to be outside the CVS on April 20th on Saturday. So come on by and say hello. This says 1 to 3, but actually I just got confirmation today that it's going to be 12 to 2. I'm sorry, 12 to 2. So we will be out there saying hello, passing out flyers about the project, and also passing out flyers about our first community visioning workshop, which we hope you all come to. That will be on April 30th from 6 to 8 at the Division of Highway Services. So we'll be launching a website in the next couple of days also, so you'll be able to find all of this information there. So then we'll be following this schedule of pop-up engagements, community workshops. There'll be, of course, updates to the website. We're also going to be doing a couple of public surveys to get your input for your priorities during the first public survey, and then another public survey once we get into the concept development. So right now we're in the very early stages, as Matt said, and we're just starting this conversation. And your input for this through that first public survey, which is going to launch also on April 30th, is going to be pivotal for making sure that we're capturing the priorities of the community.
Thank you, TL. And to round out, I'll just give you an idea of what we've been doing. So importantly, we haven't started to draw anything yet. We really launched this project on March 20th with our kickoff meeting. So we've been, we had the kickoff, we had a site visit just the other day. It was the day of the eclipse, so I think that's monumental and will forever mark this project. We are conducting initial listening sessions, and we're not all the way through those yet, but we're speaking with people that are internal to the county, including DGS, of course, the schools, DOT, and planning. We are also, as TL said, you're our first external group that we're talking with, and we'll be continuing to talk with others in the community that are stakeholders. We are collecting and reviewing previous and current plans, including, as Matt mentioned, the Shady Grove sector plan. We're documenting the existing conditions, including topography, environmental constraints, zoning, and other features, understanding what development has happened, what other planned development is coming down the road. and other projects that are in the pipeline. We, as TL mentioned, developing that public engagement plan is key, and includes all of the things you just talked about. We are looking to launch the project website, and that will be ready, and we'll be sending out, I believe, an email to this group on Monday with that. So we have been building that project website and then preparing for the community vision workshop as well as the pop-up event. Coming up next on the heels of all of that is, of course, continuing listening sessions, launching that website, conducting that first pop-up event, the visioning workshop right on its heels, and then launching the survey, as TL said. After we're through that, we will start to look at plan options, and we'll certainly, I think, come back to you all when the time comes for that and make sure that we're getting your opinions. We know that you have high expectations for this, that you've been waiting a long time. So bear with us as we get familiar, but we're very interested in getting all of your feedback, particularly when we start to bring options to you. With that, I'll turn it back over to Ronnie or Amy to see if there are any closing remarks on that.
So one thing I do want to add is at the end of this, we will have multiple concept plans. We're not looking to have, we're looking to have options as we move forward, because we're going to get, I'm sure, a lot of community input. And so that is what the end goal is. And we're looking forward to presenting all of that in September.
So, Cecily, I'm assuming that the website is going to have some interactive elements to it where people can follow links and provide input as they see. The website's intended to be the principal information source as the project develops and as events are held and input is received. Is that correct?
That is correct. It will be the hub, so there will be contact information where people can reach an email that will go right to PRR, and then they will filter those as appropriate to the team. In addition, we will have, as we present at the first public workshop, we will be posting the presentation on that. So it will be a resource. So if you have people that are interested, all of the flyers, all of the information going out will have that website address, and it will be the hub for future postings as well.
That's great. So all comments received will be read and reviewed and compiled into our decision-making and output process. And as things develop, we'll see how those occur and make sure. The intent here is that everybody knows what's going on at the same time. This is not going to be a standard DGS project page, as you may have seen in other cases. This is going to be indicating the importance of how we know you feel about this and really how we regard it too. Something that we want to be out in front of everybody so that everybody is equally informed as events progress. So with that, Shabana, we're done with our formal presentation and open it up for questions.
Thank you,
One
David.
thing
Yes.
I would like to point out, TL put in the chat, we have a project email address. So any comments or questions is in the chat. So you'll have the resource of the website, but we also have a project email.
That's great. And as Cicely pointed out, when we have the website up, I will send to you all the URL address so that you can be the first to see it and go on there and give us your feedback.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Excellent team. And I know that I'm very excited about this. So I know that Alfred has a question. Alfred, please go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you to the collective team and all the individual effort already engaging us and going to engage the rest of the community. I just have two quick points or questions. One is to engage the whole community and maybe hopefully not overdo a due diligence. would a flyer be going out or a postcard for 28 cents per postcard to every address in the sector, every residence? I'm just thinking.
That's a great question. It's
I
not
don't know
not
if
not
it's, I
not to
don't know.
date not to date you or I. Those, it used to be a primary means of contacting people. Frankly, I hadn't thought about it. Maybe our consultants who are expert in this. I'm certainly not. It's certainly something to consider. You know, I have found that this group is expert at getting the word out. So it's been my hopes that you would aid us in distributing that message. But that's certainly something to consider as a push out to the people who are immediately affected. Obviously, this project, as I've told this group in the past, this is one of the most significant projects Montgomery County's ever undertaken. It's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars. It's going to have tremendous impact on the life of and Central County, and is going to be a fascinating engineering capital project to undertake. So it is going to garner a lot of attention, and that's why, in fact, we have others trying to drum up interest in the development and construction community in anticipation of what will be, we think, a very a public-private partnership offering that will garner a great, probably national, if not international, interest. So keeping you all informed in the community at large is certainly paramount in my thinking, and I appreciate your suggestion, Alfred. That's something we'll have to look at.
Thank you so much. And
I
I'm
just
sort of dated myself, I guess, also.
No, it's good, Alfred. We appreciate that. And I know Cecily wants to say something as well. Cecily, you want to go first and then I'll add on?
Oh, no, TL, this is squarely in your court.
Okay, that's fine. So we actually, I'm glad that yes, because again, I like to wear the diversity, equity, and inclusion hat. And I know that not every single person is online, right? So that's one of the reasons why we're doing the in-person engagement, especially around those hubs like farmers markets and the CVS. We want to capture people who might not be, tracking something this online because they're not aware of it, but then once they get the information, they can. So we have looked into the idea of doing a postcard mailer. We have that kind of in our back pocket. We want to see what the first kind of initial engagement is and where we get the response, and then we can assess to see where we're missing. We did do a quick look at the number of houses or residents in the area, and it's over 5,000 just within the small group in our demographic area. So it is something that we're already thinking about. So thank you for that reminder, Alfred. And if it's something that we think, because if we're not getting the responses from the full demographics that we want to reach to make sure that it feels inclusive, we can reconsider that.
Cool.
excellent.
You mentioned farmers market. I want to make sure that you're aware that we actually do have a neighborhood farmers market.
Yeah.
Yes, we are aware of that.
So we are quite lucky because Kara used to live in the neighborhood, and so she has clued us in on all the places people congregate.
Yeah, it's a great farmers market. You don't want to miss it.
It's my favorite place to do pop-ups because not only do I get to work, I also get to have the benefits of the farmers market.
That's right.
I was just going to mention quickly, I am the president of the HOA of the Westside Shady Grove Homeowners Association. So we can do little coffees or little meet and greets for you also. We have 500 homes. So we have, a large proportion of that population of the demographic that you mentioned. And we're fighting strongly and working with the team here to try to get this project going. So, which it is now. So I could definitely help you with that.
And you have
Thank you, Shabana.
you have your clubhouse.
We have a clubhouse. Yep, we have a
Okay.
clubhouse. But,
That's
we
great.
could have multiple little events to help, because that is definitely one thing. You can see we don't have a very good representation on the meeting this evening, even though there's been plenty of word going out about this
Yeah, it
meeting. So,
surprised me, actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a battle, but we have to just try to use all avenues possible, written, in person, farmers market,
Yeah.
door to door. So, we're willing to do all of it for the project.
And
Yeah, I just want to
Shavonna,
do a
can
pulse
you,
check. Does everyone know when we say this April 30th event for feedback is at the Highway Services location? Does everyone know where that is? It's right at the end. Okay, I didn't think so. So
Well, our material makes it really, our material for it, David, makes it really clear where it is. There's a
yeah,
map, there's,
if you just get on Crabs Branch and cross over Shady Grove and go until the road ends, the
oh,
facility on the left is our county's Highway Services
Oh, yeah.
division, and they have a very large meeting room. It'll hold quite a few people, and we hope everyone plus more show up for that.
you'll see as soon as we launch the website, so next Monday, you'll be able to see the map and like directions how to get there and where the building is and all of those things on
Good.
our meeting flyer.
So one thing that Alfred mentioned, the mailing, right? But I'll take it in electronic format and I'll
Yeah.
post that to our various boards and things here, so that
Great.
you have some
Thank you.
representation. So thank
Yeah,
We
you.
I'm
want your
happy to email
input.
that out. We've created a electronic PDF flyer for both the meeting announcement and for a project information sheet, so they can live separately, they can live together. The project information sheet will be the way we're going to mostly communicate. I like to call it evergreen. We plan on
Mhm.
not having to update that, but it's complementary to all of the other materials that will be going out. So I am happy to email that to you. Shivani,
Yeah.
I see in your chat that you have your email address for president of the Shady Grove West Side Metro, but then you also mentioned that you're also on a homeowners association.
That is the homeowners association.
Perfect.
That
Yeah,
okay.
I'll make sure that you have it. Mhm.
Thank you. I think that'll be really important. And one of our members is here, Evelyn Beckman. Evelyn, did you have a question?
Yes, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I just want to say thank you all for the presentation. I wanted to say thank you to David, because I know David has come to a few of our meetings and has bared with us. So thank you. Thank you to Shobana for her leadership and her caring of our community. Please excuse my ignorance, but I remember, David, you had mentioned that what was it, that the county had acquired the Metro access road from Metro, and that there was a possibility of being able to have the MCPS buses exit out onto the Metro access road. Is this whole plan or the contracting with PRR assuming that that's going to move forward? So are the buses going to be staying but out of sight? Just can you just provide a little bit more information about
Sure.
kind of
Yeah.
how we're proceeding?
David, do you
Yeah.
want me to take that or do you want to take it?
Well, I'm going to hand it over to Ronnie in a minute because she's got the particulars. But that, Evelyn, is really the issue that kicked the whole possibility of this particular plan into place. When it was WMATA who approached the county saying, "Hey, you guys want this road because we're really not road people." And when the director of transportation approached me with that, I said, that is the thing. So short answer is yes. How that will work is part of the development plan. But as I have said to this group on a number of occasions, we don't want, the only time you should see buses going through and pat in front of your community is when they're picking up and dropping off people, not parked in a parking lot. So yeah, Ronnie, you want to take it from there?
Sure. So we have had some meetings with both SHA, State Highway, and WMATA because they each own part of that road. There is a lot of interest from both entities to have us take over the Metro Access Road. So we are assuming that for this exercise that we will be have access to that, and that would be the primary access for the buses. So we are assuming that, and we're continuing to have conversations with both agencies.
So it's, as you can appreciate, the process is not overnight, the details of which are still being worked out, but it is everyone's, we're all singing Kumbaya around the campfire. It's just a matter of working out the details.
Again, thank you, everybody, and I appreciate this extra information. And TL, we at West Side as a community, we are waiting with bated breath to find out more. So please, we would love to hear more and more and more. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Thank you. And I've
Thank you.
noted all of the emails that are being put in the chat to make sure that you are all on our stakeholder list. If everyone here wants to put the Jeremiah Park project at prrbiz.com in your safe email addresses, that way you make sure that you get our emails and that they don't go to junk.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Are there any last questions regarding this agenda topic? Carol, did you want to say anything before we moved on?
No, I'm going to say I don't think we've got anybody from schools.
Yeah, nobody from Montgomery County Public Schools. So we can go ahead and move on to our item number 5, which is the future Shady Grove Metro Station annexation, and Manisha Tiwari of the City of Rockville. I welcome you tonight. Carol and I welcome you. So the floor is yours.
Can I just interrupt? Is it all right
Yes.
if I and my team exit?
Yes, David. Thank you so
David.
much.
Thank you
Yeah,
all
Thank
very
you
much.
all.
Look forward to our next meeting. Take
We
care.
do too. Again, thank you for your
all.
time. Thank you,
We will see
team.
you again. Thanks.
Our
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Okay, Manisha, it's all yours.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. Again, I was with the committee a while back. I think it was in December of 2022 when you all had asked me to talk, give you a brief background on annexations. And really the process is still remains the same. In light of the late hour, I'll try to be quick. And basically, just to give you a little bit of background, municipalities, all municipalities in Maryland are required to prepare comprehensive plans. And when we prepare our comprehensive plans, the municipal growth element is one of the required elements, which is required by the state to be included in a comprehensive plan. And the municipal growth element requires us to identify our maximum growth limits. And when we were reviewing this plan with our mayor and council, we discussed our maximum growth limits, and then our council was really interested in finding out what does it really mean. We could have boundaries along our city boundaries, but what do we do about it? So when we were having this discussion, our council was very interested in defining areas where they would like to be proactive in pursuing annexations, and other places where they would just be reactive and just wait for property owners to come in. So when we looked at the Shady Grove Metro Station, it meets all the requirements for the annexation law for the city to be able to proceed with an annexation, especially because municipalities with respect to annexations are not required to obtain consent from property owners, which is a primary requirement for any private property. So on October 2023, we introduced a resolution in front of our mayor and council where they directed city staff to initiate the process for annexation of the Shady Grove Metro Station. The city would like to pursue it, and again, what the state requires is when you do an annexation, you have to prepare an annexation plan to kind of look at the resources that you have, and also prove that you are able to provide facilities and service the area that the municipality is going to annex. So at the current time, we've been doing all kinds of research on the water capacity, sewer capacity, and we're looking at other capacities like what is the police services that will be required because the city provides police services. And we are looking at, how many more police officers will be required if the city does annex this property. So we are in the process of compiling all our research together, and the annexation plan will be reviewed by our city's planning commission. It's scheduled to go on their calendar on May 22nd. And then once we present the annexation plan to them, our planning commission will hold a public hearing on the annexation plan where we will be receiving comments from the county. We will share, when you have a public hearing, it becomes public. So we will announce to all surrounding jurisdictions and your community as well that the city is in the process of annexing this property, and do you have any comments, and if you do, please attend the public hearing or give us in writing what you think. So that is the next step. When the planning commission will review the annexation plan and let us hold a public hearing, which is tentatively scheduled for the second meeting in June. So that's where we are in the annexation process. So do you have any questions for me? Because I knew I threw out a lot of information out to you all.
Looks like Carol has a question. Carol, go ahead.
Yeah, and maybe Nkosi can address this. It's my understanding that development of the Shady Grove subway station as envisioned, and the WMATA property as envisioned by the sector plan, is going to involve quite an expensive expenditure for infrastructure. If the city of Rockville takes over and annexes this property, do they become responsible for paying for this?
Well, Carol, there's this variety of infrastructure needs that's required to do any development at the metro station. So the property owner, if it becomes within the jurisdiction of Rockville, then it's Rockville, and then WMATA's responsibility, or any other, if WMATA does a joint development application, it will be some combination thereof in terms of funding from the city, from WMATA, from the private party, to provide any infrastructure, depending on the scope of the project. I don't know what the scope may be down the road, but to get anything going, you really need to shift around a variety of big ticket items, such as parking lots, into structured parking to really begin thinking of redevelopment, for example, on the west side.
So is this not going to become the city of Rockville's responsibility for rebuilding these parking garages?
Is that a question for me or for Manisha?
My question to the city of Rockville is, are you aware of why would you even want to annex this property, given that WMATA is not at the moment very interested in development of this property because of the high infrastructure redevelopment costs that would be involved?
when we discussed this with the mayor and council, they brought a lot of things that was, that they thought would be beneficial to the city. They were really concerned. What was really important to them was, having the prestige of having another metro station within the city. So, and also they understand that in the short term, Vermont is not ready to develop anything on the property per se because the infrastructure costs are quite high, like you just said, and there really isn't a lot of funding going around at this time from the state or from Vermont. But our mayor and council are looking at long-term potential for the site, and they would like to have it within the city and, have development on the property that is more consistent with what's with the vision of the city's comprehensive plan and more consistent with what the city would like to see, the kind of development that the city would like to see in its surrounding areas.
I don't think the city of Rockville can afford the infrastructure development that's going to be involved in redeveloping this subway station.
I understand that. And I think American Council also understands that. And that is the primary purpose of the annexation plan, is to look into detail at all these factors and bring it to our planning commission and mayor and council that's the staff's responsibility. Will prepare the annexation plan and present all the conditions as they are. And then it's really up to the planning commission to tell us, like, hey, go ahead with this annexation, or they might even decide that we don't want it, and they could put a stop to that.
Okay, Alfred, did you have a question? You're on mute, Alfred. It's okay.
I was doing that earlier in the meeting.
No. Here we go.
I did have a question. Is this process eventually go from the planning commission to the county council and it's approved by the council? Or does this go to a state entity for annexation?
The way it works, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you.
The way it works is when municipalities do annexation, we do a lot of public interactions. And for example, when the Planning Commission will be holding its public hearing, we will inform the state, the county, city of Gaithersburg, the surrounding communities that, hey, this is what the city is initiating, and let us know if you have any comments, concerns about it. And following that, the annexation plan goes back to the mayor and council of Rockwell. And the mayor and council of Rockwell will also conduct a public hearing. They conduct 2 public hearings, as a matter of fact. And they will also seek input from these various entities as to, what they think about the city's city's desire to annex this property. But the decision is the city of Rockwell has the authority to make the decision to annex the property even without consent from the county council or even the state, because the municipalities have that authority given to them by their by the state, as a matter of fact.
Well, I appreciate all of the research that Rockville is doing, but I regret that when you were speaking of what is envisioned or what is planned or what could happen, even though there's a large investment needed that Rockville may not be able to realize. I apologize for pointing this out, but you said each time that it was what Rockville envisioned. You did not ever include the words the greater community or the Shady Grove sector plan that has been approved by the council for so many years and amended and approved, reapproved. I apologize for pointing this out to you, but it is very telling that you repeated that several times without including the community at large surrounding Rockville. And I know the Planning Commission has its due diligence to reach out, but I feel it speaks volumes that Rockville has its God-given right to annex, and there's no recourse. And there's also not much really listening to the rest of the community going on. There are thousands of people who use this metro, and there are future envisions of going towards Frederick with rail. How does Rockville plan to cooperate with those future dreams if Rockville can't even incorporate the surrounding people in the community? I'm just posing these for possible consideration. Perhaps you can bring it back to Rockville Mayor and Council, who seem to have the God-given right to do what the heck they want, regardless of what the rest of us want. Forgive me, but that's what it appears to me to be.
No, I do apologize if I may have, communicated that it's that Rockwell will not be reviewing the existing plans. We will be reviewing the existing plans, and Rockwell's vision is not really different from what the county envisioned for the Shady Grove Master Plan. We would certainly like to have similar kind of development. And when we prepare the annexation plan, we will acknowledge that, hey, this property already has a plan in place, and it's a great plan that was developed by Montgomery County planners. And we will try to incorporate as much of the ideas and the visions that were put forth in that plan. So when Rockwell will work through its process, I mean, right now, when we talk to WMATA, they've told us that, they really are not, they are not looking at Shady Grove Metro Station for any kind of development at the current time. Because it's very expensive, like you said, the infrastructure costs are huge, and they just don't think that it would be viable to develop to go in for a joint development study or a joint development solicitation for this project. So if there was one, we would definitely look at the current plan, and we would, coordinate with the neighbors and look at long-term plans of, what the county wants and what the state is looking for. And we would definitely try to incorporate all the long-term visions into whatever the city plans for this area.
Thank you for the reply. I appreciate it. I just, concretely speaking, does Rockville have a threshold for going green that is at the same level as the counties going green? And how would the development continue to realize the sector plan if I'm just at a loss, because it seems to be always residing with Rockville solely? And the article that you used was, this will be for the prestige of Rockville, which that it feels like, I don't know, I feel like we're losing any say in the matter as a sector plan.
I wouldn't say that you're losing. Say there are plenty of opportunities for, providing comment, coming to our mayor and council, letting them know what you think about the project, and, we have been, as staff, we have been given direction to proceed with the annexation, but this process really involves a lot of public process where, we value input from the community, and we would definitely, like to hear from Rockville residents and, your community as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alfred. Very poignant comments there. And I would have to say, I do agree with you as well. John, you've been kind of silent tonight. Did you want to speak to this topic at all, or you are on mute if you do?
Yeah, no, I think a very excellent point was brought up, that the sector plan goes well beyond the WMATA property, and for the WMATA property to be developed in coordination with the sector plan, in other words, with property that still lies in the county, the Rockville really should make a commitment to stronger than I think than the Manisha is able to provide, because it has to come from the mayor and the council, that were they to annex, that they need to present their vision for development of that property. I don't care if it's not going to happen for 5 years, 15 years, whatever. Just annexing the property raises the very questions that have already been presented, and I think requires an answer from Rockville, given the good deal of effort and the redevelopment that's has occurred and will continue to occur in the Shady Grove sector plan. So I think the message back to Rockville is this idea of, wow, we can get control of the WMATA property, may be beneficial to Rockville, but they need to make some indication that this is going to be beneficial to the surrounding property, unless they're going to annex everything, which I don't think they have any intention of doing. This is a very important aspect when looking at development of the WMATA property. That's my only comment.
Yeah, very important. And I think you're right on base there. I don't know if anybody else has any further comments. Aaron, did you want to say anything about this topic, or you're good to go?
Yeah, look, I'm not really sure. There's a lot to think about here. I mean, the state law says they can, if they want to do it, they can do it. The county can basically slow it down if the zoning is different, and it looks like the zoning is not really materially different. So, I'm sort of speaking off the top of my head here. I don't really see any benefit to the community, to our community necessarily. I also don't really see any negative impact necessarily. I mean, it would be more tax revenue for the city of Rockville if it ever were to be developed. But I don't, there's still county taxes in municipal areas. So yeah, I don't really understand it enough at this point. And I'm sure if it continues progressing, it will be a topic of conversation.
Yeah, I think really just ensuring that, the Shady Grove sector plan, as visualized for that area and the relating surrounding areas, does get realized. And by annexation of this property, that doesn't get halted or changed, or the commitment taken away,
That's the key thing, if the state comes forward. So
yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
I look at it as just Rockville becoming responsible for the $100 million it's going to cost to do the infrastructure.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our item number 6. And it's my pleasure. Thank you, Manisha. So we appreciate your presentation and information, and also your time.
Absolutely, and I will certainly keep you all informed as this process goes through, and we would really like to hear from you.
Yep, let us know when, and you will hear from us, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're most welcome. Thank you. All right, Aaron, we're going to let you go ahead and take the floor. Do you have an update from Council Member Ludke's office? Anything to report or anything you'd like to tell us or say?
Yeah, Aaron Crabb, Chief of Staff for Councilmember Don Lukey. Just real quick, you heard the whole state of play with the bus depot project. A lot happening. I'll just give you sort of the nitty gritty of where it's at in the council budget process. Last Thursday, the Joint Transportation, Environment, and Education and Culture Committees met on this item. It's technically two budget line items because there's the MCPS Bus Depot CIP project. There's also a Ride-On Depot CIP project. Each of them has $3.5 million split over the next 2 fiscal years, FY25 and 26, for further planning and feasibility studies and design, exactly what DGS and crew were speaking about tonight. The committees recommended going forward with this. There was a lot of excitement, obviously from Dawn, but also from most other council members. I think, to be honest, this committee, many of you have done an awesome job, not just staying persistent with this, but making sure people understand what's happened and where this project has failed in the past. And I think other council members certainly understand that and see that. It is scheduled to go to a full council straw vote next week, Tuesday's session. We expect it to be approved tentatively. Everything in the budget awaits final approval in mid-May. So we're feeling positive about this and this funding for next fiscal year and the year after getting through. And if anything changes on that front, we will certainly be reaching out to let you know. So, there's a lot of other stuff going on, but that's sort of the specifics from the council on the bus depot project.
Awesome. I did want to ask one question. There is like a slight undercurrent of community voices that are saying that, and I hate to use this term, but it's like a switch and bait. We were told you're going to move the depot, and now the depot is staying, and we have this alternate plan. So I think somebody somewhere needs to address that and communicate that. I mean, Evelyn is a great example of, somebody and many other community members that don't really know what's happening now. So, we went from the bus depot is moving to now the bus depot is staying. So I think we have to find the message, and if this is where it's going, and it appears this is the only thing we can get. We can't get anything else. There are no other alternatives.
There's no other alternatives apparent right now, but I think this process, this community input process we're about to undertake together, is to find out whether the community actually really wants to move forward with this. But yeah, I agree. I think from our part, we've tried to be very cautious with making it seem like this is absolutely the only way. It is true. It is the thing that has been proposed to us at this moment, and there is no other proposal. And we know the history of what happens with other proposals. That doesn't make those past decisions right. We don't think they were right, but it is what it is. And so I think that the difference, it's not really a relocation, but there's also some other aspects to that have been discussed ad nauseum here, like MCPS has its own potential funding to do it, a real study of moving a certain portion of their school buses to actual school sites overnight. That's a big part of this. And so and look, another big part of this going forward is going to be the mix of county ride-on buses and MCPS school buses. We're just going to have to be cognizant of that and keep a real close eye on that, because I think what we don't want to happen is a project comes out of this that either county DOT or MCPS feel isn't what they wanted, and then they may throw up some roadblocks there at that stage, and that could hurt the chances of anything happening. If this is ultimately the direction the community wants to move in anyway, right? So, this is first step stuff, and we're trying to be very realistic about that. Not to mention the cost of this project if it goes forward, and basically the requirement that it's going to need to be a public-private partnership with a land developer on the land that's not the depot, which was the plan before.
Right.
Elcor and probably others, but there's a ways to go. So.
Okay, I understand. Evelyn, did you want to speak or ask some questions?
I just wanted, kind of in listening to Aaron speak, and thank you, Aaron, for your remarks. My question was still like, what has changed? Well, the thing that's changed is that the Metro access road has been acquired. So this is helpful. I personally, at this stage, I will take what I can get. Like, I'm fine. David spoke about the buses disappearing, or us not being able to see them. If we can get park space over there, if we can get redevelopment, if we can get more shops and stuff in the area, to me, that's a win for the community. So thank you for your time.
Yep.
Thanks, Evelyn. Great points. Okay, well, we're coming to 9:02 p.m., so the time has come.
Coming to the end.
We have. And Carol, I don't know, does anybody have any last comments or any questions they wanted to address?
Does the COSI have any more information on the potential development of that remaining land on your side?
On the west side, no, I
On the
don't. I
west
don't
side.
have any. I don't have any updates on that. But I do have an opportunity if the committee is interested. I've been in contact with EYA to see if the committee is interested in having a tour of the recently built Laureate building with the CVS. If you're interested, could organize a time where McLean Quinn at the EYA, the CEO, is willing to give us a tour of that building. Years ago, the committee did a tour of the first building, the Daily, when that was completed. So just putting that out there for you, for your consideration.
I'd like to see the Laureate.
Yeah, if you want to send me some dates in May, that would work. I'll give McLean a variety of dates that will work for most of the committee. And we could organize that for May or June. So I just want to put that out there for your consideration.
Good. Awesome. That sounds really good. It is a beautiful building and it's got really nice infrastructure and nice amenities. I did, Carol, you asked about the parcel. And what I've heard is potentially there could be nothing solidified. And I heard this from EYA that possibly there could be some high-rise or multi-level condo type buildings over there, like 3 or 4 stories, with parking structure underneath. So that is what I heard probably like last week or the week before. But it's just a plan, right, Nikosi, probably?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. I haven't heard anything. So your information is better than mine because I have nothing.
How are they proposing to do traffic in and out of a condo building?
It would I don't know. Well, I mean, we have the same, I don't know. It would probably be tough, but it's probably better than, another 100 homes, I think. So I don't know. As long as we don't have to worry about parking on the street. But anyway, that is what it is. So I guess the time has come, and I think for our next meeting, we wanted to look at who we want to have come. I think Carol, you had some suggestions.
Yeah, I'm suggesting that we try to get David and his crew back and invite our state delegates, who I have no idea if they're at all aware of any of these plans that DGS is moving forward with, and they might be interested in hearing.
So I definitely agree. We should ask David Dice to come back with his team. They should probably be like a standing item along with Aaron from member Lutke's office.
And Seth from
Yeah,
MCPS.
Seth. Yeah, because this seems to be the biggest topic at hand. And then, so our next meeting is Wednesday, June 12th, at 7:30 p.m.
Do you want me to try to invite the state guys?
Yeah, does that sound good to you, Nikosi?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, yeah, that would be wonderful, Carol. And then just related to our meetings in general, do we have meeting minutes that get posted somewhere?
Everything is recorded. So
Okay.
if you go online, all the recordings are posted.
Okay.
So that's in some ways that's your minutes.
Yep.
So
yeah, I couldn't remember. So thank you for just reminding me of that. I don't have anything else. Carol, do you?
I have nothing else.
No. Okay. Aaron?
Thank you for the update, Aaron. That was
You are definitely somebody that we appreciate greatly, because I truly feel like we have an advocate, since we met you and since you've been coming to the meetings. I feel like you are like truly part of like our community team. So thank you so much for everything you do and everything you're doing. So
Appreciate it.
The city of Rockville is left, right? I think they're insane.
Remember, this is recorded.
Oh, I'm sorry, it is recorded. That's
okay.
fine. I think they're insane.
Well,
anyway, all
perhaps
right,
they won't-
Alfred, John, anything else before we sign off here?
On a lighthearted note, perhaps Rockville will want to annex the depot and fund the. I mean, the international.
Full circle, huh?
They get a lot of international prestige, right?
We want it for the prestige, right?
Anyway, well, awesome meeting, and thank you guys. I think we have a great team. And Evelyn, thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you here. She's a really powerful woman, so we need to keep her engaged.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, I guess we can go ahead and adjourn. It's 9:08 p.m. So we'll see you guys on June 12th.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much, Nikosi.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you.